To continue the same opening remarks, may I now request Sandeep to be able to share a few words. Sandeep is from Delivery, Chief Business Officer and Executive Director at Delivery, which is one of the leading uh, logistics fulfillment partners that you can have. So, Sandeep, over to you.
Thanks, Biju. Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to have a session post-lunch, right? How are you guys all feeling today? Everyone's awake? Yeah. Oh, great. Thanks for this opportunity and our respected fellow members, of speakers, all the audience. For me, it's a hard one to follow because I've learned so much in the last 45 minutes. I'm not sure how much more I can add because almost everything that I wanted to say between Gunjan, Biju, and Renu, they've already said. But hopefully I can underline some of the messages that they've already shared because I think some of the messages are the key ones to take away. I'm hoping that at the end of my 10 minutes or whatever, I'll leave you with two takeaways and I'll repeat them at the end as to what they are. But when I was talking to Manish as to what he wants me to cover today, he talked about me sharing my view on the economy, what's happening in retail and FMCG based on my experience as a consultant and then being in delivery for the last 8-9 years. The advent of digital, and there's been a lot of talk about digital. Something about delivery. I guess a lot of people are curious about what this company is. But also start off with my journey. I'm not going to bore you with my journey. It's not worth it, except for one point. In the last 20 years, I've lived in Delhi. Before that, I was out of the country for a while. But deep down, I'm a Kolkata boy. I was born here. I went to school here till class 4, and my family still lives here. So for me, it's a real privilege to be speaking to a whole audience. And hopefully, we'll do a better job of singing this time between the rest of the speakers and me, and it won't sound like cacophony like back in school. So let me start off by talking about the economy. I think Venu's covered most of what one can say about the economy. I can tell you personally myself, and we as a company are extremely bullish on India. We think the future is extremely bright. We have now become the most populous nation on planet Earth, with a young population. We've had the highest GST collections in the month of April. In a world that's being that's affected by this massive storm, India seems to be like a large, calm island in the middle of it all. And it's a special place for all of you to be at this point of time. Look at what's happening with infrastructure. We talked about infrastructure. When I joined delivery in 2015, it would take us about 48 hours, or maybe 53 hours, for a truck to go from Delhi to Mumbai. And it would be a 32-seat single axle truck. Today, delivery primarily operates 46-feet tractor trailers. You don't see them on Indian roads. You used to see them outside the country. Now you do see them because we actually run the largest fleet of tractor trailers. And it takes us about 27 hours. And when the Delhi-Mumbai road is finished, it's going to take us 18 hours. So that's what's actually happening in terms of infrastructure in the country. And that's the playing field that you are now starting to operate in. So I think there's a confluence of three things happening. There's an aspirational population. A lot of it is young. There's unbridled access to technology. It can do crazy things today. And everybody has access to it. And there's massive improvement in infrastructure and what the government is doing. Look at IPL, for instance. Look at the opportunity it creates for people in small towns. People who never thought sport could be a career. Now we've got every other, so many other sports that are actually evolving out of that. And you can create, and something like Dream 11 gets created, which is a source of engagement, enjoyment for millions of people. The other day I was talking to my driver as to why he plays it, and he showed me the app. For the first time I actually saw what happened. There were 14 crore people who joined an IPL match with 49 rupees each on Dream 11. For the next 3 hours, they were entertained. It was a marketing opportunity for lots of businesses. It was an entertainment opportunity for those individuals. But then it also was starting to open up career opportunities for people in small towns who actually aspire to actually make it big that day. Ultimately, they're going to be your consumers. They are our consumers. So that's really what's actually happening in this economy. Every time a Vande Bharat train starts or connects to places, There's a lot more happening than just a train going from one place to another. Those people who travel on that train, their mindset is permanently altered. Because for the first time, they actually can ask for more, they can receive more. And that quality mindset is shifting. Because it's an experience that we're not used to. It's an experience they never thought we as a country can deliver. And they're experiencing that. And that changes the market. And that's happening across the country. It's not something that's happening just in the west or the north or the south, it's happening across the country. I believe Bengal is about to get its second Vande Mataram train sometime very soon. So I believe it has never been easier than today to actually start a new business and to build a new brand. Platforms like Shopify, Instagram, and now ONDC are really making the market accessible to anybody who wants to start a new business. You know, we have a sales team that's whose job is to go and acquire new D2C customers for logistics every month. And every month that target changes, and you wonder, where are they going to find more D2C customers? We've covered everything. But yet, every single month, we find more and more D2C customers. Now, many of these companies will die. Not all of them will succeed. But the guys who actually fail the first time, they try again. And they try again. Because that spirit actually is starting to set in. So, and it just becomes so much easier. You don't really need to think about competing with Unilever for distribution or with ITC for marketing spend. It's a very, very targeted group that you're going after. And you'll find them on Instagram. You'll find them on Shopify. And you can just do social media. You can do influencer marketing. Your marketing budget can be 2 lakhs. It doesn't have to be 20 crores. And it's a unique time for us to be operating in this market. So, and then let's talk about some of the trends that are actually also happening in India at the same time, right? I don't think the Indian retail consumption is as much about penetration anymore as it's about frequency, upscaling, upgrading, and premiumization. And it's happening across the board. Premiumization doesn't mean that somebody has to go from a 200 rupee item to a 2000 rupee item. They're going from 200 rupee item to 250 to 300. Premiumization is happening at every single level. Experiences are more important than products. That's what people want. Individualism is more important than following the herd. So customization becomes very, very important. People want to express themselves. Social media has done that to people. Every selfie, is basically an expression of individual self. And they want to do the same thing with what they consume, what they wear, what they eat, and they want people to think about themselves. So India is a very interesting place. It's very similar to other large-scale countries which are quite vibrant in nature. Think about Indonesia, think about Vietnam. But I think we truly do stand out as a nation at this point in time. And somebody told me once that the West has gone through a journey where you first had organized modern trade, and then you had, so Walmart came first, and eBay came after that. Large screens came first, and small screens came after that. Well, India is different. India, Indonesia, Vietnam, we're going to keep leapfrogging. And that trend is going to keep changing. There is going to be no large screen to small screen. We're going to have both. We're going to have people who are still consuming large screen, and we've got a whole bunch of people who immediately go to the small screen. The guy who's never owned a TV is watching IPL on Jio Cinema right now, and watching it every single day. You're going to have small towns where the physical shopper stop is going to be very important, but you're going to have Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Calcutta, where the endless aisle of 24/7 shopperstop.com is very, very important. And they're both going to happen at the same time. So in terms of trend, we are very, very dynamic as a country. So my first message I want you to take away is future is bright, so please be excited. Be excited about the market that you're operating in. And along with that, be agile. Because the trends in this market are extremely dynamic. You don't know what innovation is going to change the trend in which way. ChatGPT is a year-old concept. Everybody's talking about it. Internet took maybe 10 years to settle in. Social media 5 years. ChatGPT is a year. So things keep getting faster and faster and faster. So my first message: be excited, but please be agile. Which brings me to the logistics industry, which is very large, but has not been agile for a very, very long period of time. The Indian logistics industry is over 300, it's going to be a $300 billion opportunity in the next 5 years. It's already $200 billion today. And that does not include ocean freight, that does not include rail, it does not include river. If you add that, the market becomes even larger. There are very few industries which actually offer you a base of $200 billion in terms of opportunity. But at the same time, it's a highly fragmented and underdeveloped logistics industry. Most developed markets, or most large economies, always create large logistics companies. If you look at North America, you look at US, you've got UPS and FedEx. FedEx, I think, is about 63 billion, and UPS is over 100 billion in size. If you look at Europe, you've got the likes of DHL, GSV, Kuehne+Nagel, massive companies. You look at China, SF, YTO, ZTO, all multi-billion dollar companies. For a $3 trillion economy, which spends over $200 billion in logistics, we've never produced even $1 billion. And there are a lot of good reasons for it. One is the industry itself, which has never really invested in technology, never invested in capacity, never invested in automation. Thought of it as a hardware problem rather than a software problem. It's actually a data and software problem. It's not a hardware problem at all. There are 4.5 million trucks in India. If you own 450 trucks, you're not going to change anything. It's what you do with those 4.5 million trucks that actually is really important. So part of the reason is the industry. Part of the reason is we never had a single market until GST came. So there was no incentive for the industry to also actually really invest. So you had lots of, if you look at the names of most transporters, it'll be Jaipur Golden Line, or it'll be some Guwahati Delhi Express. So the names actually tell you the extent of how they operate. They didn't become large scale. They didn't create an integrated network and platform. And so the business has evolved that way. And lastly, I'm assuming most of you run businesses here or involved in businesses here that use logistics. Actually, you are responsible for the underdevelopment of this industry. Because you've looked at logistics as the last thing that you do. It is not strategic to you. It is left to the procurement department to find the cheapest truck they can, or the cheapest square feet of land that you can store something in. So it's not strategic to your go-to-market. Well, it should be strategic. When you suddenly start thinking about omnichannel, when you start thinking about the endless aisle, when you start thinking about 24/7 shops, when you start thinking about the fact that every item that Venu has in the store is available real time online, logistics is no longer something you can leave and decide on at the end. It has to be on your drawing board when you're starting your business. It has to be part of your core strategy. And the best logistics talents in the country are not actually in the companies. They're actually in logistics companies. So go talk to them. If you want to do advertising and brand, a lot of big companies will have that, but you go to agencies for that. You go to logistics companies, talk to them, make them as part of your strategy, because that's when you will really unlock the value of what logistics can do. At Delivery, we are a young company. We are a 12-year-old company. We started in 2011. The company started its business, really off serving the e-commerce logistics market, so parcels. If you go back 12 years ago, when e-commerce had really started off 12, 13, 14 years ago, India was never really a parcel market. We've had a blue-collar migrant population. We've never had a white-collar migrant population, except for students. So people have never really felt the need to send parcels to each other, which means our postal networks or our courier operators were more designed to deal in documents rather than mobile phones. And so there was a need to create this new industry which actually focused on parcels and delivered it to the customer reliably, without soaps being exchanged for mobile phones, etc., all the stories that you've heard. And companies like Delivery and our competitors were born out of that. But we saw early the opportunity to actually really build an integrated logistics company, because we did see the fact that India really needs that multi-billion-dollar logistics company, and not one, several. We need many deliveries, not just one, to really unlock the potential of China plus one for India. And so we always wanted to build an integrated company. On the back of our parcel business, we built our truckload business. Essentially, they're very, very similar businesses. On the back of our truckload business, we built a full truckload business. We added warehousing, and then we built a supply chain business, and then of course, with FedEx, we now actually have the cross-border business. So we have all these 5 lines of business. Express business, we clearly dominate the market. I think we're close to almost 2 billion parcels in the history of the company. So if any of you give me your phone numbers, I can tell you what we've carried to your house in the last 10 years. So we actually do have the data on every single person in this room, I'm sure. We would have arrived at some point, which means we have a geocode to your house, attached to your phone number, your preference of when you like to receive your parcel. If you're a business, we know where you picked up from, how many locations you have. And all of that is sitting as data. It's a data business. Every single parcel, whether it's a B2B parcel or B2C parcel that goes through our network, goes through massive amounts of automation, is scanned about 150 times. We publish everything through an API. You can consume as much of it as you want. But we know how long a parcel sat where for whether it sat for minutes, whether it sat for hours, what's actually happening to it. Did it get damaged? Did it reach reliably? What did the customers say? We collect over $3.5–4 billion of cash a year because 60–70% of India is still COD. And all of that's actually happening on an everyday basis. Just last quarter, Q3 of last year, we did, I think, over 170 million parcels. And we are now India's largest supply chain and logistics company. We did 1,800 crores plus in just the previous quarter. We'll have our results for the full year in Q4, end of next week. So that's sort of the business we've built, but the core of the business is built around technology. You know, when I was growing up, I used to see these ads for Tata Steel which said, "Ispat bhi hum banate hain." We are that company. Logistics bhi hum karte hain. Because the core of the business is tech and data science. We have over 450 people just doing tech and data sciences. So the concept of innovation that we talked about is very, very true. We don't look at logistics as a physical movement of goods, it's actually information. So it's designed differently, massive amount of infrastructure, massive amount of tech and data sciences, a lot of automation, and really built around first principles of engineering. What does it mean for you as a business? You know, when I think about retail businesses, when I think about FMCG businesses, what do you really want? There is this friction between offline and online. And as the earlier speakers have said, it's not about offline, it's both. It is the hybrid format. They're just different channels. For some businesses, online will make a lot more sense. For some businesses, offline will make a lot more sense. But for most businesses, you will need a mix of offline and online. You know, if you are in the Northeast, which is very fashion conscious, they want the latest pair of Nike shoes, but that store can't carry them. Or they want the latest pair of shoes that Gunjan's offering, but there's only so much you can carry. So the online store of Bata does offer the endless aisle, does offer 24/7. And think about the traffic in our cities. If you're a young couple, when do you shop? You shop between 8 o'clock in the evening and 11 o'clock at night. Which stores are open at that point? Are you going to give up that sale? And are you going to give up the sale when a customer does come to your store because you have a stock up? How do you actually sell the customer? Get it to him later. How do you make sure the shelf is up to the mark in the first place? How do you get shelf uptime in the first place? Now, these are the questions that businesses should be asking themselves. You know, how do I get an uptime on my aisle? How do I get the endless aisle? How do I get 24/7 store? How do I optimize my inventory? How do I reduce my working capital? If I can speed up my replenishment cycles, will I make the working capital more efficient? Can I send smaller lots to my distributors? Can I make their working capital more efficient? Without actually having to forego the full inventory that you can sell, or full array of goods that you can actually sell. Can I do it reliably? Can I do it without damages? Can I do it without pilferage? Can I give visibility to my distributor? Can I give visibility to my end customer? How much customization can I do? If you are, you know, does X always have to come in one smell or 10 smells? Can I not get my own individualized smell? Look at what Asian Paints has done with colors. They literally stock a base product at every single Asian Paints outlets. But they can give you any color you want. Why can't you do that with deodorant? Why can't I get onto a website and make my own deodorant and I get 6 packs of it sent to my house with my name on it 3 weeks later? So, what I'm going to leave you with as my second message is logistics is core part of your strategy. As you think about retail, as you think about hybrid retail, as you think about new ways of approaching consumers, logistics is your friend. And you have to bring it to the drawing board and not think of it as something at the end and ask some guy to say, "Sasta truck." That Sasta truck will break down and will affect your business. So again, repeating my two messages: be excited, but be agile, and remember, delivery is your friend. Thank you.